How we doing, guys, tonight? You know, I find these review shows to be necessary, but I think they've almost got streamlined to the point that people forget to have fun and walk you through the actual process of the highs and lows of each week, right? So like when you win or when you lose or when you look at a lineup or how you prepare for your next week. I don't think people organically walk you through that. And so I do want to have some structure as I introduce the guys tonight, but also kind of just want to give you a almost behind the scenes real kind of a real applicable this is what it's really like to go through the waivers. This is what it's really like to talk over, did I make a mistake here or did I just get unlucky? You know, and I think instead of being like, hey, this guy won a milli, look at how much money he had, or hey, look, we made this X profit. I kind of want to just take you through a week in review and give you the raw emotions of Gov, Donnie, and myself, and then Evan, who had nothing to do with DFS up to last week, so he can kind of give you a different perspective of fantasy football or just a fantasy or even just a football view of Sunday. Because it is week one, there's a lot of nuance. Football is kind of still the same in a weird way, so I'm going to introduce the guys now, and then we're just going to do a workshop kind of review of how we're feeling, some instant reactions, you know, and just and let the conversation kind of grow organically from that. Gov, what was like when you exhaled on Sunday or even Monday, if you didn't exhale till Monday, what was the exhale like?
I was glad it was to get back into the rhythm of a football Sunday. I had missed that because that ends up being like my every Sunday routine. So to sort of try to get back into that routine because you know me, I have to work most Sundays. Mm-hmm. So to be able to get up, double check my lineups at 7:00 in the morning, have a time to check them after inactives while I'm at work, getting off work 4:35, getting home, getting my brother set, looking at the games with mom and my dad, getting into Discord with you guys to talk Sunday Night Showdown. Getting into that rhythm again was peaceful in a way. Yes. It was it's Sundays again. Kind of. Sundays are back. Yay.
I'm even having trouble pulling up the review lineups because I played so many different days.
Start off with the Millie Maker one because you know that's ours.
Well, I was going to even start off with the Thursday experience.
Yeah, you're right.
Go all the way back to the people, but that's what I'm saying. Is that's also why I started the show the way I did, Donnie. It's because no one really wants that. Hey, this is what I did on Thursday. This is what we all kind of lived this experience. So let's just vicariously live it through again and see what really stuck out. I think with all the information, the Aaron Rodgers news just kind of came at us at a flood, did it not, Evan? All the stuff that happened, the Aaron Rodgers stuff was just kind of so heavy way to end in Monday, you know? Honestly, it's just one of those things. I don't even people were like, well, this is what my lineup did, or this is kind of my takeaways. It's just I kind of want to just get with you guys as people and be like, what did you think of Sunday? What did you think of football?
See, honestly, I enjoyed the Sunday games a lot. I didn't watch Sunday Night Football because I just missed that Sunday Night Football game. I'm not going to complain about that. And I was at work, and I got a message on Discord, Aaron Rodgers went down. So I figured it was nothing. You know, I asked somebody how bad it was. They were like, it didn't look too bad. But then you get all these reports that it might be a broken ankle, or if it's not that, it might be Achilles. And it's this is what football is.
Yeah.
But for it to happen week one, a team with all the hope in the world, I didn't believe in them, but they had all the hope in the world.
Yeah.
Everything was going the way they wanted. And in 3 plays, it came crashing down. 37 seconds of having that hope, and it's gone.
Is it gone? Is it?
We're not believing in Zach Wilson. Stop.
You don't have to believe in Zach Wilson. You didn't have to believe in Brock Purdy. Their defense is elite. They basically built this team around running the ball the entire time anyway.
No, there's a difference between San Francisco with a good offensive coach and a good offensive line.
No, there really isn't.
No,
they have the weapons. Like, Hackett wasn't a horrible coach. He just didn't want to be in fucking Denver. Yeah, they have a bad offensive line. Guess what? Most teams have a bad offensive line.
The Niners have a dominant offensive line.
The Niners have a dominant offensive scheme. That's Atlanta
they have
is
the
trying
best
to
offensive line in football.
I would argue that they have like 2 good offensive linemen.
They have the best one in football.
They have 2 good offensive linemen and like one of the best offensive schemes for the offensive line that has ever been invented. That's the reason Atlanta does so well. They're running that Shanahan zone run scheme that has worked for like 40 years. Like, it always opens holes for running backs. So like, that is just what they like. That is just kind of like what San Francisco does. So they just plug in all the skill players around it. That's why they don't ever need a quarterback, because they're going to run around the run game anyway. The Jets can do the same thing.
Yeah.
They just don't have the exact offensive coordinator you would want for that, but they can totally do the same thing.
And they have bad offensive line.
Again, if you took away one offensive lineman from San Francisco, they'd have probably a middle of the pack or worse bad offensive line, just like you're saying. Like, the difference between a good offensive line and a bad offensive line can literally just be coaching and might not have anything to do with personnel.
Yeah. Let me just jump in here.
Like, that is 100% truth. And like I don't know. Like, so you keep saying they have a bad offensive line. So that means there's literally only like 3 teams in the league that have a good offensive line. Are all
There's
of them
not many good offensive lines? No.
And no team has a chance with a bad offensive line? Only San Fran and the Eagles can win the title? No, because Kansas City has a bad offensive line and they won it last year. No, because Cincinnati has a bad offensive line and they've been to the Super Bowl in the last 2 years. No, the Rams have a bad offensive line and they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Well, here's your antidote, Donnie. The Lions probably have a top 2 offensive line. We don't have a great quarterback, and historically we've never been a great team. But given your metrics, then we should be a Super Bowl team, right?
I mean, you have to look at the defense that was terrible last year, but yeah.
We dominated a good offense this year.
Yeah, but last year, if we're going off last year's metrics, the defense was so bad that had to completely be retooled. And I didn't think the defense looked very good this year.
I think that's where people are sleeping. I pointed out all the scenarios, and you said, well, they all have dominant quarterbacks. I would also point out that all of those teams did not have great defenses. Like, the Rams probably had the best defense. That's why they won the Super Bowl. Cincinnati didn't have a great defense with their horrible offensive line that did so well. Like, there are teams that have bad offensive lines and not great quarterbacks, but you have to have a really good defense to balance that out.
Sean McVay also outcoached Zach Brown, too, in that Super Bowl.
That's true. But that's what I'm saying. Like, coaching could get them over, even with Zach Wilson, especially if that defense keeps them in every single game, where you could just run Cook and Breece Hall to beat most teams.
Do you believe in Robert Saleh?
Yeah.
You think he's a good NFL head coach?
Yeah.
If you think he's a good NFL head coach, then they should be good for 10 wins.
Okay, how do I explain this? I don't actually care. He's not playing. Is he the guy calling plays? Is he the offensive coordinator? No, he's the head coach. He's actually
it's also his defense.
That's why, like, you know what? You know who else is irrelevant? Mike McCarthy, because he's not the one calling plays in Dallas.
Mike McCarthy isn't irrelevant because he's the reason why they had Zeke at center for some reason, and they don't have any clock management. And so,
again, he's not the offensive coordinator, and he didn't call those plays.
The
guy who called those plays just got a job in LA because he was so good.
See, hold on.
Like that. Most of the time, the head coach.
Robert Saleh, I'm pretty sure Robert Saleh controls that defense, but.
Okay, so he's the defense. He's a head coach who's a defensive guy, which means he's going to have a dude run the offense. So he's not going to have, like, again, that may be a bad thing. I would say that can be a bad thing if you're trying to develop an offense. But if they're just going to have the identity of great defense, run the ball, they built a great team for that. All Zach Wilson has to do is not fuck up. He just has to be Brock Purdy.
I think
it may not be. I will give you that San Fran is above the Jets, but the Jets just have to do exactly what San Fran does.
Weapons are so much better.
I don't know. Garrett Wilson is I'm sorry. Garrett Wilson is way better than any receiver the San Fran has.
Okay, but Garrett Wilson is nowhere close to Christian McCaffrey.
But you don't compare. Okay, but you're comparing apples to oranges. You wouldn't compare Christian McCaffrey to Garrett Wilson in this scenario.
But if we're going to compare
Christian McCaffrey,
the whole argument's been weapons for the whole
but you have to put it against the right weapon.
Breece Hall.
All right, Breece Hall is who you have to compare Christian McCaffrey to, and Breece Hall could easily be, if he's fully healthy, have a Christian McCaffrey kind of year. And then throw in the fact that Dalvin Cook's way better than Eli Mitchell. The entire total run game. I will take Cook, Breece Hall over. I love Christian McCaffrey. Love Christian McCaffrey. Panthers fan. Love Christian McCaffrey. I will take Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook over Christian McCaffrey as a backfield.
I'd much rather have seen Christian McCaffrey than Elijah Mitchell.
I would much rather have Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook.
Let me get in here.
And it might be splitting hairs. It might be equal. But that's where I'm talking about. It's like that could be splitting hairs and equal in the run game. And then you know that they have a more dominant one, but Debo and Ayuk is probably a better combo.
And Kittle.
So really the only place the Jets are lacking is the tight end spot. Conklin is not Kittle. Uzoma is not Kittle. All right.
And they don't have a Trent Williams.
But what offensive weapon is that?
The best tackle in football.
Quit talking about the offensive line. We just said the offensive line can actually be neutralized and not matter.
Hold on.
The offensive line might turn them.
Paying enough attention to a tackle.
Hold on.
Unless he's literally running people down the field like in fucking movies with like The Blind Side. No, I don't think a tackle is doing that much.
He is. Oh, that's the thing.
He's not, because first off, that's a fucking foul. Like seriously. I don't think this offensive line thing, like if your only argument is the offensive line, then the Jets are a near Super Bowl team.
No, but that's the
because we have all the. I just gave you all the examples.
Zach Wilson is a bad decision maker.
Hold on,
and that is probably what's going to hold them back. I will not argue with that at all. But all Zach Wilson has to do is not make bad decisions all year, and that Jets team can be very good because they have they didn't have all this hope that you came out talking with in the beginning when they got Aaron Rodgers, because they didn't have all the weapons around him. Like we saw Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay with no weapons. You don't just bring him to a team that's not got everything else around it and think it's going to be a title contender. So now you've taken Aaron Rodgers away from this team that had everything for him.
I didn't think they had everything beforehand. I had them missing the playoffs.
See, and I did not. That's entirely different. If you didn't think the Jets were going to be a good team, then you kind of, in my mind, you kind of flipped on yourself. Because like in the beginning, you were talking about all the like hype and everything. And
I said I didn't believe it beforehand. But the fans itself, there was hope in New York that was not there before.
Yeah. And I don't think it's actually gone. Yes, there was a massive strike, but if you watch that game, the Jets shut down Buffalo with that defense. And Zach Wilson did enough to not fuck it up, and then the defense won it in the end with a kickoff return.
Josh Allen has 39 turnovers in the last 19 games.
I've seen plenty of teams in NFL history win on defense and special teams where the quarterback didn't fuck up.
The Bills are such a bad example when they played against them because Josh Allen in the last 19 games has 39 turnovers.
Let me
okay, so that's just Josh Allen is bad in the last 19 games. That doesn't mean Josh Allen's a bad quarterback. That just might mean... Yeah. Like the Jets actually have been good.
Just turnover prone.
Yeah, in the last 19 games. He was also turnover prone in the first 19. That's Josh Allen. He's going to have those swings. People who have forgot what Josh Allen was in 2019, 2020 and think that this is new are kind of stupid in my opinion.
I agree with you, but we can't act like this is why Josh Allen doesn't win in the playoffs.
Agreed. But he's still going to put up numbers.
Yeah,
he's still going to be good. I don't think this is actually bad for Josh Allen in any way.
Oh, no. The Bills probably still win this division.
But I think it does show, like, Josh Allen is what he is. He will make some mistakes, but he's still a very good quarterback that you have to play well against. And the Jets are playing well against him. Like the last 3 times they played, they've been able to slow him down. So like, I just think the Jets are. I think the Jets are better than you think, even without Rodgers.
Guys, let me.
Like I really do. Now they might still suck.
Hey, Logan. I seem to be the focal point of the stream, and I don't know why.
I did. Yeah. Hold on. Let me reset. Because this is why. No, this is honestly a great way to review. Because I didn't want to do this so structurally to be like, hey guys, the headline news is this, and we missed Kelsey on Thursday, and our showdown lineup worked like this. I really did just want it to be a review show, a live reaction. And then Donnie and Gov truly had a passionable moment where like I couldn't break in because they're both making great points. And then it became, okay, we probably should tell these guys that they don't hate each other. It's just 2 very passionate people going back and forth and having a very organic, very real, very informative decision. And then me and, Evan are watching this, and it's like, well, we can't get Edward. But Evan's reaction was priceless. Like you said so many things, Evan, with just your facial expressions. So eventually I just said, you know what, I'm gonna pull up his face because you said so much. It was almost like you were having a conversation with him. And like that's what I wanted though, because like I've watched so many review shows on Monday, and they're like, well, you guys know Garrett Wilson still had a good day without Aaron Rodgers. It's like anyone could tell you that. But if you guys didn't listen to the passion that Donnie and Gov were just giving off there, like they could have been talking about politics. It doesn't matter. The passion is what I love, and that's kind of the barbershop kind of experience I want in my review show. So if you guys didn't want that in your review shows, go on to the next YouTube video, because that's what we're about. We're about organic, real conversation. We didn't rehearse that. You guys just went off the cuff.
Yeah, Gov and I have been on a roll lately with going at each other's heads.
But to be fair, he's right. It's all in good fun. Handshake.
Oh, yeah.
We both agree the Jets are going to suck. I just think they're better than the worst. They're not going to be the worst.
And that's
we both agree they suck. We know where they're
at.
They're
the worst in the division.
No.
I don't know about that.
No.
Now, again, I'm not saying they aren't because of what New England did, but that could just be Philly being an ass and having the hangover. Like, I don't know. But, like,
I don't believe they're Super Bowl hangovers.
What? Like, how many favors did Belichick and Brady have to give in to the goddamn refs to get that game? How? Like, they must have called in every last one they fucking had.
Okay, before we start talking about Bigfoot, let me get Evan in here, because I think this would be a great transition for you, Evan. Remember when you thought about coming on a couple of weeks ago and you were like, I don't know if I got anything to contribute to DFS. We run a kind of a DFS, people say a centric show, but I've been trying to tell people I just get my friends together and we talk about football, and it just so happens we met through DFS in one way or the other. But you just seen it. A real organic football conversation broke out when we were supposed to be reviewing, and that's exactly why you don't structure these things. That's exactly why we watch sports, because if we knew Aaron Rodgers was going to get hurt, we wouldn't watch on Monday, or we wouldn't have sports bets in. But that's the beautiful thing about sports. Injuries are a beautiful thing about sports. No one wanted to see J.K. Dobbins get injured either, but it was beautiful because now Gus Edwards has a chance to play. And now
Hill had 2 touchdowns last week, right?
Yeah, and then Hill, so is it Gus, is it Hill, and then you got that waiver discussion, or you got that dynasty discussion, and then here we are talking about fantasy football, and then Arthur Smith is trying to convince you that nobody cares about fantasy football on his team, even though we know the Falcons have a fantasy football league, and it's weird, man, all the different personalities that get involved in football, and that's the kind of stuff I enjoy. And that's what I want to do in this review. It's like, we're going to talk about Showdown. We're going to talk about, the main slate. We're going to talk about Evan's dynasty, maybe potentially his league. We're going to talk about Rainmakers. But at the end of the day, really we're talking about just the headlines of week 1. So that's why I started, okay, after the big exhale, after the big Super Bowl moment of week 1, what were the takeaways? And we're relying if Aaron Rodgers doesn't lead it off. And it's funny because we just had a conversation about offensive linemen. You think, well, that doesn't affect DFS. We don't draft offensive linemen, but we kind of do. We draft a flex, a running back every week. And don't tell me that, you don't consider matchups, dome teams, over-unders, everything factors in. So I just love it when real organic football conversations break out. Evan, what was some of your big takeaways? We already had the Aaron Rodgers discussion, so
you can have an Aaron Rodgers thing, but I'll keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, I mean the game I paid attention to the most was Packers at Bears at the which is the 3:25 Central game. Didn't get a chance to go to that game, and I'm glad I didn't because I won't take up the whole show with how much I have to rant about, but the offense looked exactly the same as it did last year with worse personnel, which now I have to begin to question the play calling that Luke Getsy has been contributing to with Matt Eberflus in charge. So is Luke Getsy the problem now? Because if he's the problem, then perhaps it's time to look toward somebody else for another offensive coordinator position, because I don't want to see Justin Fields get killed as a result of having to run for his life every other play because his first read's not open. And then by the time he looks to his second read, the offensive line is fucking up. So, and speaking of the offensive line, I've been vocal about being against Cody Whitehair. If I have to see him play guard one more time, I'm turning off the game so that I don't break my TV. I hate watching him play guard. He sucks. And he was supposed to play center, but Tevin Jenkins got hurt. And the offensive line, well, we've got good pieces, but it's just not that much better. It's a little bit better. I'll give the whole unit that, but we got weak links that have got to go.
See, I experienced this once as a Patriots fan. The coaching matters a lot for the offensive line. Like when Dante Scarnecchia retired, it was 2014. The Patriots won the Super Bowl, and Scarnecchia retired, and I forget who took over 2015. The Patriots lost that year in the AFC Championship and gave up like 8 sacks and 29 pressures to that Denver Broncos team. Dante Scarnecchia comes back. The offensive line's perfect again. So it could just be that. I think it's just the whole coaching staff. I think needs to go there basically.
Yeah,
that's bad. That's a bad coaching staff in Chicago.
I mean, I don't mind Eberflus. He's exponentially better than Matt Nagy at being a head coach. And Darnell Mooney even went on record to say that when you show up to practice with Eberflus in charge, you know what's expected of you at that practice. That wasn't even the case with Matt Nagy. That's how disorganized he was as a head coach. So that we at least have going. But I just don't think we have the right offensive coordinator at this point unless Getsy proves me wrong. Because when I see 2nd and 5 and we're throwing a screen pass sideways to lose yardage, I don't see competence there. I don't understand why you don't just run the ball on 2nd and 5. It just makes no sense to me. But, armchair opinion. I'm not sure how much that matters. But we have a Panthers fan here. The fact that we didn't even get him more than 2 catches last game is just abysmal. I don't know how you screw that up.
I thought he was going to have a fireworks show. But.
Yeah.
We'll get to that question here in just a little bit.
I actually have I really want to take that first question.
Yeah, we can do that in just a second. Let me just set things up though for the people. We are, like I said, this is just going to be an off the cuff review show, and we're going to have a little bit more structure about it. I just want to let that first thought marinate and get it out, and then we can look at it from more of a process standpoint. Donnie, why don't you take this moment just to refresh the people on our spread picks, and then we'll answer the questions, and then we can go on to our DFS lineups and in the larger scope of things. Because we have Sutton in a lot of best ball teams. We have interest in that Denver Broncos team and some of our DFS lineups. So we'll definitely get to that question here shortly. But Donnie, why don't you give people an update? I'm going to grab some coffee. This will be a long night.
The spread picks for our group pick, we had Washington at -7. I don't remember. I don't have the final scores. Gov, can you pull up the final scores? And
yeah, 1 sec.
I just wasn't ready.
Okay. So.
I think -7 was wrong.
-7, and yep, they only won by 4. So we did not
0-1
cover.
is a group pick. Logan had the Packers +1 and the Texans +9.5. That would be 1-1, I believe.
So he had Texans +9.5, right? So yep, Ravens cover. So the Ravens covered that. So that is a loss. And then he had Packers +1. They won. That's a win.
Yeah, I was wondering.
All right. How about Evan?
What was my pick?
I was about to say, Donnie, what were his picks?
Did we lose Donnie? We might have lost Donnie. Donnie came in hot earlier. He might have blew up all his hot air making his 49ers point guard. We might have lost him.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you now.
We got you.
Okay, that's weird. Gov, you had Cleveland +2 and Niners -2. That's 2 wins right there.
Mm-hmm.
Evan had the Jags -4.5 and Eagles -4.5. I believe that's 1-1.
Yep. Jags -4.5 covered. And then what was the other one? Eagles?
Eagles 3.5.
They barely covered. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was blatantly wrong. I had Bills -2.5 and Broncos -3.5. I got to bounce back real quick because that's a rough start.
Okay.
Gov continues his hot streak from last year. He finished last year really good.
I'm the one who lives in a state that doesn't let me use sports books. It's hilarious.
See, I started off last year. I remember I was like 9-0 to start off the year, and I somehow came in third. So
it's because I kept pushing on weeks and I was just right there behind you. It's like, yeah, you're 2 wins ahead, but I have all these ties. So the second you lose, I just start jumping ahead of you.
Give me your honest opinion. Do you like this kind of free form review style, or would you like me next week to go to more of a structured, hey guys, this is our lineup kind of way? Because I like what we're doing here, but I want to make
this
sure
is so much more fun to me.
Okay, because I like it too, because this almost feels like a DFS slate to me. Because if you guys watch DFS on Sunday, I had Sunday tickets, so I was super excited. I was probably overexcited. I watched it with a lot of friends. You could tell it my voice. I kind of like this because it gives me that frantic energy of hey, there was so much going on, and we don't know which way to go, even in the review, because there's so much good going on. We do have a good comment, though, Don. You wanted to hit on it. Why don't we hit on that now? And then, Evan, quickly, while Donnie kind of digests the question again, do you remember our best ball team? Because this is important. Because I want to hit on this after Donnie answers this question. Do you remember
the best ball teams? Unfortunately, I don't.
That's good, because I got so excited. I showed Gov, so I think Gov knows some of the results. Donnie, do you think you know our results?
Yes.
So you know but Evan's pretty much blind, right?
Yes.
Wait till you see some of the luck. I'm not gonna lie to you. Some of it
he got lucky.
Some of it was incredibly lucky. Some of it was incredible process, and we're gonna break that down right after this question from our man. Go ahead, Donnie. Why don't you lead off, and then we'll give our quick thoughts after you. But we'll let you be the head analyst.
Yeah. I mean, if you feel like your team is at a point where it has enough talent, high-end talent, I would trade Judy because you're going to get the most out of him. Sutton's just going to give you a high floor, low ceiling. Judy's going to be your home run hitter. I feel like Devonta Smith is already a home run hitter, and you don't need that.
I have the opposite feeling. I think Devonta Smith is the Cortland Sutton of Philly. He is the safer check down, whereas AJ Brown is their home run hitter. So if you're going to keep Devonta, I would see what you can get out of Sutton, knowing people may not want to trade for, especially with people maybe not wanting to trade for Judy coming off the injury. Knowing that Judy is a big home run hitter and he could be your main, he could be the number one, he could be an alpha for your team. So I would try to get whatever I could for Sutton and keep Judy with Devonta.
I guess it's however you feel about Devonta then.
Yeah, it's really his caveat of I also have Devonta does actually matter. Because like
does matter.
if you think
It's a huge
Devonta,
deal.
if you think Devonta is a massive like a carry you wide receiver in fantasy, then I would get what you can for Judy because you can probably get more. But if you're like me and you think Devonta is just one of those really good secondary receivers, then I would get rid of that other secondary receiver and try to get something better to fill out your team.
And I just want to make this point and bring Evan in here because Evan, remember, I keep going back to it, but it's so imperative to me to bring this up to people because people make this mistake all the time. They're like, well, I'm a dynasty guy. What can I contribute to DFS? Or I'm a 12-team league. What can I give to a dynasty guy? But so much of football is correlated. Like your question on Sutton was my question building a DFS lineup a couple days ago, and I'm a Sutton believer. I'm also a Devontae Smith believer. So really,
I'm a believer in all three of these guys. Honestly.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at, Donnie. It's like and I don't want to seem like a caveat or like I'm selling you down the river here, but you're allowed to play fantasy football the way you want to play it. Build your reality, right? And then let the fantasy be the fun reality of that game. So whether you want to play in a super flex, play in a super flex. If you think super flex is stupid, don't play in a super flex. I know a guy who thinks that you should have two kickers. So he plays in a 2-kicker league. I mean, now, do I think he's just being contrarian for the sake of contrarianism? Yes. But I know people that build DFS lineups that are absolutely puke stacks because they're like, like for example, I know people like there was a famous professional gambler a couple years ago. Every showdown slate, his name is CJ Kallenbach. He would play the backup quarterback for like 2 years straight at every showdown. Didn't matter.
I don't think that's a terrible idea, to be honest.
And the idea is
Aaron
Rodgers. The one time it happens all year, he's going to make so much profit that it's going to offset all the other times he's wrong. Now, is that a good strategy? It depends on how much bankroll you have and what you need out of fantasy football. If it is just disposable fun, if it is just a beer league where you want to piss with your friends and like get together, and throw a couple chips on the table, that's cool. But if your wife depends on it, if your mortgage depends on, you making smart bets, I would recommend like prop bets, for example. I would recommend more cash style games. So it really depends on what kind of you're playing, man. And so like, I don't mind answering questions like this. I just want to give you a different way to think about it. I think you should trust your gut and you should have fun. For me, I always thought like having fab and like leagues was really fun because then you kind of create an auction style bidding with your friends. And so like that I always thought was fun. When it comes now, there's some people, I'm sure you see it, Evan, as well. Some people you can trade with from day 1 to day 50. Other times you see that trade from that one user, you better watch out. He might know something you don't know, or So I would just say who's in your league also matters. But honestly, I'm higher on the Denver Broncos offense, and I'm with Gov. I think Devontae Smith is more consistent than A.J. Brown. So that would be my advice. Evan, you got anything for the guy?
Okay, so Ventro, I hope you're still with us. I don't know. I'm going to assume that this is a vanilla redraft league of 8 to 12 teams, however big it is. I think in this case, if you want to trade Sutton or Judy, which I think is a good idea in general, because you don't typically want to keep the top 2 wide receivers from the same team, my advice would be to see if there's any interest in your league for either of the wide receivers, and then see what best offer you can get for one or the other. I don't think there's a right answer for if it's Sutton or Judy. I'm not a big believer in the passing game for the Broncos in the first place because Russell Wilson to me is just washed up, and I don't think Peyton is going to save this team. But anyway, that's how I think you should approach this. Ask around your league, see if you can get any interest in Sutton or Judy, and then see what they're willing to offer you in exchange for one of them.
Okay, let me role play a little bit because I do think this would be a fun experiment. Let's say Gov had Sutton, right? And then let's say Donnie had Judy, and the offers were somewhat similar, right? How do you break the tie? Like,
If there's a similar offer where you think it's a tie, I would then recommend looking at rankings throughout whichever fantasy websites that you trust the most. Maybe it's Fantasy Pros, maybe it's the Fantasy Footballers, Fantasy Life, Dynasty Nerds, whichever one you trust the most. Take a look at the rankings for maybe it's the rest of the season, maybe it's for the upcoming couple of weeks, and then pick the better of the two.
So then, like, another question to that is, so say the offers were equal, right? Like Judy and Sutton, nobody knows at this point because we haven't seen Jerry Judy what he could be. Like, we're going to be talking about this in Rainmakers. We have Sutton, for example, on our Rainmakers team. We could go and pick up a Jerry Judy this week and get rid of TJ Hawkinson, which we're going to talk about very shortly, for profit. We can make basically almost a $2 profit on TJ Hawkinson and pick up Judy cheaper because he didn't play in week 1. So when it comes to that, do you just value hunt trades as well? Like, if Gov offers you just a little bit more, do you is that enough to say, okay, even though I might like Sutton a little bit better, he's willing to pay, like, how do you break those ties? I mean, maybe you do it by your friend. Maybe you're like, hey, I like Tom better than John, so Tom's going to win the trade.
I try to keep that level of bias whenever I make trades because the goal for fantasy football trading in any league where you do that is getting the best offer that helps your team at the same time helping the other team, quote, in other words, making them happy with what you're offering them. So if they're happy with Sutton or Judy, you just want to make sure you're getting fair enough in return to help you for the rest of the season. So removing the biases can be difficult as well. Maybe you're in a league where you've got a couple of friends that may not be offering fair trades because they think they got to quote unquote win the trade by offering you like a kicker just to be a dick about it. But so there are lots of variables involved where it's hard to give you one good answer, Ventro. But if it comes down to that, hey, message us. We'll help you out with that part. But I would say just whichever offer I'm getting that's going to help us out the most, that's what I'm going for.
And that's what I want to do with this review show is I want to give people a different angle. I want to be honest and be like, hey, look, you could go to a fantasy calculator and be like, or maybe a professional that knows more than I do. But let's not pretend that we don't play in, office pool leagues, with coworkers. And maybe that coworker has a closer cubicle than the other guy. And that stuff's going to matter too. As much as Evan's like, I don't want bias to play a factor. It does. Like the fact that. No, go ahead.
Here's my question. Does it matter if you feel like one of the team, if maybe you're getting a little worse of a trade, but the team you're going to give up a Judy or a Sutton to, you don't feel like is good at the first place. Like you don't think it's going to be able to win a championship. But the team that you would trade in the other scenario has a chance of beating you feel. Does that sway your decision at all?
I don't ever worry about what someone else's team looks like. I'm trying to build my team well.
And
if their team goes off and is great, then it was going to happen. Me adding a dude, like maybe if like the specific dude I give them ends up like I hate when that happens if I trade a guy and then he literally goes off the rest of the season. That makes me feel bad. But barring that happening, it wouldn't matter to me what his team was. He could be already completely stacked. That just probably means I'm getting something good from him.
Yeah, completely agree with you too, Gov. That's the best you can do.
Yeah.
You can't automatically assume that other teams are quote unquote better because when it comes playoff time, nobody gives a shit. The best team on paper who finished first in the standings could easily collapse in the first round and take fourth.
Well,
exactly.
Let me give you an example of that. On Thursday night, Lions Chiefs, right? They're my team. I talked about this, how they were I don't know what happened there. Of course, something has to happen as soon as things start to go right. We had to show that we're an amateur team, but we're back now. But on Thursday, everyone's like, well, you're a Lions fan. And I was scared of this because, one, I don't want you guys to think like, oh, because I know the roster front and back, that like I can build the perfect showdown. Because sometimes, like everyone was talking about with biases, I'm almost too biased because I know who James Mitchell is, our third tight end, and know he's athletic. Maybe that gets, into my thoughts too much. I'm like, well, he's only 200, or Cleve Raymond is friends with Dan Campbell, or they drink coffee, or they, like sometimes being the beat reporter for your own team can be a bad thing. Now, it can be really good because I was right, funny enough, on some things in that game. Like, I was right on Rice. I was a big believer. I just didn't believe that the Chiefs would invest that much capital and not play Rice. Now, was his snaps limited? Yes, but I knew they were going to be limited. They said they were going to be limited, but we knew he was a goal line guy. We knew he was going to get targets near the goal line because he was their only big body guy. You look at it like Sky Moore was small, right? Tony was coming off an injury, another small guy. Like, they have a lot of gadget guys. They don't really have a big, running style. So, like, sometimes you just have to take chances, and that was a chance I was willing to take. It paid off, and it paid off in a big way. Hardy paid off for the Bills and Jets game. So sometimes price is going to factor in to these decisions. Sometimes luck is. Jared Goff got shit today because he admitted that, the Lions got lucky on a couple of their plays in that Thursday game. He actually said that in a press conference. He's like, we got lucky in that game at some points. And people were trying to dog him for it. So it's like, I find that even in DFS, as we go and review these lineups, they don't want to admit when they got lucky. They just want
Sometimes
you to
it's better to be lucky than good.
Sometimes. But here's what I would say to that, Donnie. It's not all luck. You have to You have to have a process. Like, I promise you, this guy right here that's in first place in this Sunday contest had a process. It might not have been my process. It might not have been Gov's process, but he probably had a process. And if he wins 5,000 or anywhere close to it again, he's probably going to trust some process. But I guarantee you there was a luck box, factor in this lineup that even he didn't see coming.
Can you look at the second place team? I always like to compare the first and second.
But he hoped it. I mean, look at this lineup. Now, is this guy sweating bullets? Is he saying, damn it, if Aaron Jones doesn't get hurt?
If he played someone other than Mims,
I was about to say, he's sweating like, oh, why did I play Mims when I could have played Tutu?
Right. Or you could say, hey, the dummy, why didn't you at least correlate it with, Reed? With Reed, the same 3K guy, because at least you would have Jones and Reed.
Yeah, that's actually a really good lineup if he would have just played Tutu or Puka or any of the other 3K wide receivers.
Well, I mean, it's second place.
He played to be honest, like, Hill, chalky, Mims was the chalkiest of those guys, the chalky defense. He needed to, if he didn't hit on Ayuk, I don't think he's even close on this.
But who knows, Gov? Maybe if he doesn't play Mims, he doesn't play Ayuk. Maybe there's just some weird correlation that we don't know about this guy. Maybe Ayuk's his mom's favorite player, and his.
Well, I mean, I look at it from the base. When I look at these lineups, I look at it from the basis of my cash lineup from Sunday, which is usually, or whatever the optimal cash lineup from Sunday was between the few trains that get run around the industry.
Yeah.
From different sites. And what I see here is Herbert was early cash quarterback. You wanted to jam in Eckler and Tyreek. You had in a cheap receiver like Mims. You had in a 3K tight end. You had in the chalk. Like, I see basically the early week cash lineup. And what he did is you got the Watson news. He pivoted off of the Mostert or whatever Jamal Williams super chalk to your Aaron Jones. And to do that, he had to go down from the Justin Jefferson everyone's playing. And that leads him to have Chris Olave and Aaron Jones instead of Justin Jefferson and Jamal Williams. That's a basic 2v2 I remember thinking about. So, I just see a cash lineup with a 2v2 that made sense after news throughout the week. And then that would have left you in a scenario where you have 5K for a wide receiver. We all would have probably played Pickens, Juju.
Right.
Honestly, he could have probably still done well if he would have correlated Ayuk with Jacoby Myers on the other side of Mims for about the same price. Myers had 29, not 35, so he still would have came in second. But like that's the only difference I probably would have made. Like looking at this lineup, there's correlation to B. The only thing that's not correlated is that one-off Ayuk, and you probably could have correlated with Jacoby Myers and got the same ownership.
Is there a correlation with Vegas?
Vegas played Denver.
Who does he have from Denver?
Mims.
Oh.
Yeah, especially the chalky 3K guy.
Who's the Vegas guy?
You played Jacoby Myers. That's what I'm saying. He could have played Myers over Ayuk
for
correlation and still probably had the same sort of lineup.
I would have played
came in second. Right. But the better thing would have been to have played someone other than Chalky Mims. Played any other of the 3K guys, whether it was Reed, whether it was Tutu or Puka.
Right. But
there was 4 or 5 minimum salary wide receivers by the end of the week, and Mims was the chalk. Yeah.
But here's my point. He won 2,500. People be like, "Oh, you're calling him stupid?" No, we're saying no, we're not saying that.
There was an error in process.
So about to say, it's not even an error in process. Looking at his lineup, I could have come to this lineup, but I would have had Myers over Ayuk.
Right.
I could see myself building this lineup, but I would have had Myers over Ayuk.
And I would have had Pickens. I would have
you would have had Pickens, and we would have ran my optimizer, and it would have given us Juju.
Evan, do me a favor. Pick a number between 1 and 300.
That's huge.
I know it is.
269.
All right. What does lineup 269 look like? Well, you were just on it. What the hell?
I know. I'm going to do a different contest just to really throw. Oh, I went to wrong page. I was going to a different contest just to throw it off. 269, you said though, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Because 69 twice, 2 can complain about that, right?
Yes.
And I purposely went to a showdown lineup just to show you the variance. 269.
There won't be it because it's duped.
I was hoping actually that's why.
So you're going to have 30 lineups duped at 266. Yeah.
Yep. So even that, I purposely did this on purpose. Even going to a different strategy, a random number, the philosophy is still the same. You want your lineups to make sense. Like I said, we don't know that guy. Maybe the lineup made sense to him, but I think so many people will pay attention to the end results. This guy won $4. But maybe his process is better. Maybe his story made sense. That guy won 2,500. So it was like, oh, he's a smarter guy. Not always. That's the kind of conversations I like.
11% owned on Hardman is wild to me. Why? People were on Hardman?
I mean, this is showdown. Anyone under 15% is just a random dart throw guy. I bet Deontay Hardy for Buffalo was 20% owned.
Yeah, but he was the third receiver on the depth chart at 200.
I had him in my lineup. I'll tell you, he was 15% owned in the flex.
Yeah,
and he got a play.
That's the same thing with playing CJ Uzoma.
If
he catches something at 8% ownership, cool.
Right.
All of those, there were a lot of guys in the showdown last night. Mecole Hardman, especially for because after Garrett Wilson, who was going to be the next guy for the Jets?
Mm-hmm. I would assume with Aaron Rodgers playing.
I guess it's Lazard.
Yeah, I automatically assume.
But then who's 3? Is Cobb just immediately the slot? Could Hardman get in there at any point in time?
I thought it would have been rotated. I didn't watch any of the game really because I was busy working.
Well, and there's the thing. If you think it's going to be rotated, then Hardman's going to get on the field, so he should get some ownership because he could catch a random ball. And you see with a guy like Deontay Hardy and Hardman, they only need 4 points to be on fire in a showdown.
Logan, can you pull up one of our pull up the Millie Maker?
Yeah, pull up our Millie lineup.
That was our worst one because that was our Joe Burrow.
I know that's why I'm asking for that one because I want to talk about process.
But that's good. I mean that like I said, that shows process. I can definitely do that. And we don't play the Millie that often, so I'll be able to find that one really easy.
Right. No, I specifically I wanted to talk about this because process.
Yeah, I think it was a good process. I stand by it.
I stand by this Burrow Chase stack 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I do feel a little bit bad about it because it was my idea.
No,
I played Burrow stacks in my own stuff on Sunday, Mike.
You know what?
Like you weren't
Next
the only one
week
who was gonna play.
Next week, I'm gonna suggest the same thing next week. Gonna be honest with you, I want to replay it. I want to run it back.
They played the
Cincinnati
Ravens.
played that could be a good one.
And you have cheap options to bounce back on the Ravens side. I'm gonna double stack Burrow this week. I'm gonna be honest. My lineup I'm double stacking.
Everyone taking a 0 from Higgins. No one's gonna want to play him.
Mm-hmm. I'm probably playing Boyd instead of Higgins personally.
Let's do this as a thought experiment, right? Evan knows this game very well because it was his team, right? It was now. I'm not doing this, and I think Evan. We've only known each other a couple weeks, but I think we've had enough deep conversations at this point. He knows I'm not rubbing it in.
Yes.
when we had this conversation, I called the reason we put Aaron Jones in this lineup. I was a big proponent of it, and I told you the storyline. I didn't think the Bears defense was very good. I thought that Jones was involved in the passing game and the rushing game, so he was game script agnostic. Like there was no way he wasn't going to be a part of the game plan, whether they were behind or ahead. And I thought they could expose the Bears defense. That was the story I was saying. It could have easily been that the Bears defense was good. They weren't. But either way, this play ended up being good. We did get very unlucky with this play because Jones missed a quarter and a half.
But he still had a great DFS game.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, we could have got 40 from him, right? If we get 40 from him, this might have cashed. But maybe we only get his realistic floor, which would have been like 13. Okay. But then, like, if you were to replay this game, how many times does Joe Burrow get 3?
How many times does Joe Burrow fail? Like, if Joe Burrow's going, Chase is going. That's usually how it is.
So I guess
to be fair, if Joe Burrow and Chase are going, then Cleveland has to keep up more, and Coper probably has a better day too.
Right. And I'll be honest, I watched, like I said, I was a kid in the candy store with Sunday tickets. So you guys can ask me almost anything. I don't know what this is, man. Why does this keep happening to me? All these like random pop-ups that never has popped up on my screen before. I don't get it. Thanks to
You must have accidentally clicked an ad, and now it's starting to give you all that shit. You want to check your computer when we're done with this. No, seriously though, like, do a virus scan, all that shit. Do a sweep, all that. Like,
I know it actually is probably running out because it was a free trial when I got the computer, so it's probably legit. But anyways, what I'm saying though is, I don't even remember what I was saying. Do you guys? Because
I'll chip in with something else though. Getting back to the Aaron Jones thing is that we obviously got a Bears fan, me sitting right here, and this is getting back to the biases comment we were talking about earlier. Yeah, it might hurt a guy like me to pick like an Aaron Jones just because he's probably going to be the most valuable offensive piece for the Packers for that. And sure enough, despite being delayed, I think he scored both of his touchdowns after the second half when the Packers started doing passes to the running back and running the ball more. He blew up and had a great game when the Bears defense was gassed and they gave up by the third quarter. So that's what resulted in just Jones exceeding expectations.
Yeah. You know what my favorite part about this lineup is, legitimately? I really feel like this was a smash play. Getting Etienne in there. And we responded by all agreeing the only way Etienne gets in there is with the Jags defense. We got the Jags defense to score just as many points as the Washington defense. I know they costed way more, but Washington defense was so chalky.
That helped us be able to make the decision. We can play Mims. Jones, who ended up being chalkier than I thought he would be, we could play him still no problem. We could pay up for a guy like Chase, who those were the guys who we were a little chalky on. To be fair, we had a pretty contrarian lineup, especially for what I was seeing winning tournaments. Where like I said, what was in first and second in that last tournament we looked at, even though it was just the $5 single entry, and single entries are going to look more that way than Millie lineups. I'd actually like to see what won the Millie this week.
Yeah, can you show the Millie lineup?
But you saw in the single entry, it looked like a 2v2, 3v3 from a basic cash lineup.
I've seen this lineup.
Wow, a Kendrick Bourne lineup.
Wow.
Wow.
I've seen that.
Talk about different.
Well, I knew you and Evan would go crazy because you're not as experienced with
Tua, Tyreek, Eckler.
Yep. Oh, I do remember my point though. I was saying I was like a kid in a candy store with Sunday tickets, so I watched a lot of games. I know this for a fact. Watson missed Cooper on a couple wide open passes. If those passes go differently, that whole game script goes differently. Which means maybe Joe Burrow gets there, which means that we might get a touchdown from Cooper. This is what I'm going to ask you in these review shows every week. So get ready for this question. Was our lineup a smart lineup? And I would say yes.
Agreed.
I would build that lineup again.
Yes.
I would literally, like I said, next week I'm playing Burrow Chase and another Bengals receiver.
And let me take it a step further, and I'll speak directly to the camera. You should feel confident with the uncomfortability of your lineup sometimes, because this is what we are doing. We are trying to outsmart the system. The system of DraftKings tells us that Kendrick Bourne is a bad play. And
all of last year told us that. He didn't even play last year, really.
Well, I'm just saying the pricing. The pricing says that this guy's a bad play, right? And so you're looking for their mistakes, right? And maybe this guy's a Patriots fan, and that was his bias. Maybe he thinks he can outsmart DraftKings. But that's what we are doing. We are trying to tell them a story where they are wrong. And I feel like if you're not building a lineup that you believe, hey, you were wrong on this, DraftKings, I'm going to win money because you're wrong on this. I'm plugging in this player.
Can we take a timeout? And yep. I don't know if Evan understands this, but I feel like if he doesn't, it's a perfect example on how to explain this. Can you explain to him why Washington's defense with 11 points has a flame on it, and the Jaguars' defense with 11 points has nothing on it? Because I feel like, unless Evan understands that already.
I'll let you guys go ahead with that because I'm not familiar with DraftKings at all.
Okay. It's 100% due to salary.
It's salary related.
Yep. Commanders are 2,800. So at 11 points, that's a smash play, points per dollar salary.
Yeah.
Jaguars were 3,300. They're 500 more. So ideally, you would have wanted an extra point or two from them.
Weren't they more? I thought they were 3,500.
They might have been 35. So at 700 more, like you would have wanted more than just the same points. You would have wanted them to have like 13 or 14 to be on fire.
It's essentially like an average draft position. Think of it like that. I mean, if you're debating between two players and you like both of them, but you can get TJ, like a Lockett 2 rounds later, you're going to take a Lockett 2 rounds later, even if you like Judy, for example.
So do you kind of understand that? I just wanted to, because when I first saw it, I didn't understand. So.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense too. Just as I'm slowly getting familiar with DraftKings.
And it's so important because a lot of people will gloss over these things being a new show. And that's why sometimes these review shows can be so intimidating. God knows as well. There's a lot of review shows where they're like so staunch and they've done it so long and they have a system. And their system is great. They break down the milli and they'll tell you like this play was good. Some of them are even transparent. They're like, hey, I lost $1,000 this week. I like to talk more about process. Now, I will say just for transparency purposes, it was a profitable week for me. I was up about $70. I lost about $10 between Sunday Showdown and the Monday Showdown.
No,
but that's part of the process as well. Like you have to risk money to make money sometimes.
See. And I also want to say, and maybe you guys disagree, but this is how I feel. I would still rather play the Jaguars defense at 11 points than have the Commanders defense at 11 points, just because of the ownership.
That depends on the rest of my lineup. I can't tell you that in a vacuum.
Okay.
I like the process. I definitely would have. Yes. I would have. I like the idea of playing like the Colts defense that only got like 9 points. For like 500 less than the Commanders.
Yeah, I agree with you, Donnie. At this point, the way we built the lineup, I don't build it any different. like because it paired with Travis Etienne.
Legitimately, I don't feel like we made. There's one mistake we made, and that was Mims.
Yeah, I think we should have, especially when I had that conversation in the
Logan
shed
told us
chat.
to
It's like, who do you actually like as your favorite of the cheap guys? It's like, well, everyone seems to like Mims. Well, then that means the best tournament play is probably either Tutu or Reed or whatever. So we should have probably thought of that more as the leverage. Or even like my projections were giving me Kendrick Bourne at 3,300 and or Elijah Moore at 3,800 as the other cheap guys to go with those 3K guys.
But as a Patriots fan, I had to shoot. No matter what, I had to shoot down Kendrick Bourne. I knew he was the best receiver on the Patriots. The problem
you wouldn't let us play Juju at 4,900.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't let us play Juju because I listen. We were right about Juju. Like that was an ugly play.
Uh-huh.
But the reason why I wouldn't play Kendrick Bourne, and I still stick by that, is last year he didn't see the field enough. And he saw the field a lot this past week, and that the Patriots offense looked good. I don't know. I'm assuming there's one of the top 100 players. I assume had to have some Hunter Henry in there.
Kendrick Bourne already has like a quarter of his targets compared to all of last year.
Yes, pretty much. That's what it felt like anyway.
Let me break this lineup down because I do think this had some like unique chalk that we didn't go with that we should hit on. I did play this in some of my personal lineups. I stand by this play. I think this was a smart play. Isaiah Likely was, I feel like, a very smart play. Forget the process. He was the number one target. He was the most reliable target, or not most reliable. He was the most familiar target with his quarterback. And potentially, if we had known that he was going to get that many opportunities as a starter, I feel like his ownership would have been 30. Because we got it later in the week, it was only 17. At that cheap of a price, I thought it was worth it. Now, I only played like 3 tight ends in my personal lineup. I played Likely, I played Tyler Higbee, and I played Luke Musgrave.
Can you do me a favor and go to lineup number 17 on this?
17?
17.
But while I do that, Gov, why don't you talk about Jamal Williams? Because I do think that was another pivotal point in the chalk eating thing. Was Jamal Williams a bad process play this week? I'll pull up 17.
He caught the ball like over 20 times, I believe.
Jamal?
Yeah. He had like 17 rushes and 4 catches or something like that.
Okay, I thought you were saying he had 20 receptions.
He had like 20 touches that
20 touches. I got you now. Okay.
I thought you said catches too.
I might have.
He might have got excited because I was like, "Wait, we got."
That would be the most dominant game by running back probably ever.
So Jamal Williams went 18 for 45 yards on the ground and then 2 catches for 7 yards. Right. And he had a fumble that he didn't lose.
Now,
on the very last play of the game.
I was just going to say he was chalky. I think he makes sense in certain lineups. He does not make sense in other lineups. Like, if you played him in Mims, it wouldn't have made sense because that's even too much chalk. Or you're not giving yourself enough upside. But if it makes sense, if you're correlating it with a Tennessee guy, like, I just think people pay attention way too much to the winnings.
This is exactly what I wanted.
Speaking of the winnings, you wanted this lineup. I think I know why. Go ahead and explain it.
I look at defense a lot. If this guy doesn't play the Browns defense and he moves up to the Commanders' chalky defense, he might have to move down because of pricing. I feel like I wanted to see a lineup at the top that wasn't Commanders' defense, and we got one, luckily. And they stacked the right game, obviously. The Zay Jones plays
you
interesting.
needed that Eckler to a Tyreek stack. That did it. Or at least having Eckler Tyreek in it, even if you didn't have to.
I'm telling you. I will get off it for this upcoming week, but week 3 I'm probably back on Tyreek as well. Tyreek Hill in September is an absolute monster.
Yeah, agreed. He's going to go for 2,000 yards. He's going to get like a quarter of it this month or more.
100%. If he's going to do it, he's going to have like 600 yards.
I'm on him this week because everyone thinks that Patriots defense is so good. I think
they are.
If he's looking like he's going to get low owned because of that, like
exactly,
I saw Devonta and AJ, like
I agree.
they probably
but I
could
think
have
he's
made plays.
I think he's going to be over-owned.
I'm not
going to play
so.
If he comes in over-owned, then I'll love playing my Burrow doubles with Chase instead of Tyreek. If he comes in like medium, like if he's 22% owned like he is here, I'm not going to probably play Tyreek next week. If I get him at the 12% that Chase was coming in, I'm probably playing Tyreek next week.
I'll prove it right now. He's in my lineup. And I don't play him that often.
I have the lineup
Tuesday.
built right now.
I was about to say it's Tuesday.
I built a quick lineup right now for Joe Burrow stack because I know I'm playing Burrow. I have to play Joe Burrow with my one lineup this week. I have to.
I legit haven't even looked at the slate yet.
And how many people are going to skip out on Burrow too?
A lot because of last week. I think. I bet he's like 6% owned.
Yeah, and Baltimore's defense didn't look anything great. Like Houston.
Exactly.
We knew Houston wouldn't score points, but like CJ Stroud didn't throw a pick at 250 something yards. Like,
I was high on him before the season, so I hope he keeps that up.
Yeah.
Oh, is this our best ball? Thank you.
Purposely jumping
All right, so this is the one we're in second place, so we're currently cashing.
Yeah, we're in second place, and we basically are in first place. Like we're basically just like.
Oh yeah, it's a dead tie,
basically.
But it's close. The guy in third place is only like a couple points.
Can you show me who first place is? What his lineup?
Let's see. Well, how did he get 0.2 more than us? We have Lawrence. We got Kelly.
This Kelly play is amazing.
Hold on though.
That might end up being great for us if they're gonna because the Chargers use their running back.
Right?
Like the Chargers use their running backs actually more than Atlanta did. It was crazy.
Before I show you first place, I'm gonna pull up the screen now because I can see Evan's face, and I just want you guys your honest reaction. Do you know our bench off the top of your head?
I know we have the two quarterbacks in this one, Goff and what was the other quarterback we had?
You don't.
Baker.
This line
it's the Buccaneers one.
I do not like. I'm trying to think that.
Wait till you see it, man. You're gonna gush with excitement.
We have another running back too, like another good running back that I think we should.
Hold on, let me do this. Evan, who do you think has me so excited in this lineup? Like there are guys on our bench.
To be honest,
you're gonna say, "Wow!"
Out of our starters, dude, Trevor Lawrence can play so much better.
Forget our bench. Forget starters. I'm telling you, there are guys on our bench. Once I scroll down, you're gonna say, "Wow!" Who do you think it is? Think of like the good waiver wire pickup.
Rashid White.
I could legitimately see us like 1, 2, 3.
Okay, ready?
I could I legitimately think that of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 8 guys that had to start for us, 4 of them might be our first 4 picks. Where this might have been a draft where we went St. Brown, Diggs, Hawk, and then D-Law.
This is too much fun. I'm having too much fun with this. Let me build it.
Unless there's who's the 5th guy that we're probably missing? Like
Kelly,
mid-round guys that were because Kelly would have been like our last pick.
It was like our last pick.
Evan, Kelly.
Yeah.
Kelly was our last pick. If that tells you how good.
That was a great call out. I'm taking ownership. I think it was our second to last pick, but
okay.
Okay, Hawkinson disappointed. I expect a lot more from Hawkinson. You ready? Here it is. Look how good this is.
And Gus Edwards.
Oh, this is the Treylon Burks team. That's why I was trying to think about it.
We got Gus Edwards, our second to last pick.
I don't know. Honestly, I got to see how that plays out. I don't know if that actually matters.
Chuba
Hubbard has already contributed. Baker Mayfield looked pretty good against the Vikings. I love this team. Van Jefferson had opportunities. Like I don't see too much weakness in this team.
I see
a lot of weakness.
The Treylon Burks thing.
And we already are dead Tim Patrick.
Now, this
was our early team.
This looks good, right? The next team I show you, that's the one you guys we're going to win money on. I think this team, if we don't win money, I think it's a mistake. Do you remember this team at all?
Not too much. No, I was locked. I know we just sucked at quarterback, and that's pretty much it.
We have one guy that I gushed over, and I told you guys we have to take this guy. This is smart.
Yeah, I know.
You ready? Here it is. Here it is. Big reveal. Not that good, but Puka, right? You're thinking like, oh, Puka.
Yeah, there was Puka a good last pick, and like I
Either
think
Puka or
we
Van
had
Jefferson
two
on
pretty
one of our
damn
teams.
good last
Look
picks
at
on
this.
these teams.
Look at this. We got Rice.
Rice, yep.
We got
Coop.
Edwards. We got Dylan with Jones.
Why did we get Juju on 2 teams? My lord.
We had Gus on both teams.
What the? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
It's because we built very similar. We went wide receiver heavy, and we needed a running back.
I love the Brandon Cooks one still.
The fact that we got Dylan and Jones might be injured is tremendous value. And then we got TJ Lockett, or Tyler Lockett, excuse me, who got injured. Who basically
Drake London's going to be better.
We expect so much from him.
I don't know about that.
Drake London gave us 0 points.
Yeah, I know. I think he can do that a lot this year.
If this lineup doesn't win, I would be shocked. Because this
Jonathan Taylor is what could kill this lineup. The fact that
he could, yeah. If Jonathan Taylor doesn't play at all,
like we took that bet saying he's going somewhere.
No, because I think we're fine though, Gub, even if he doesn't play because of the Puka value. This was our last pick.
If he continues to be
exactly
good,
like if Van
he's
Jefferson
not getting 15 targets a game.
Yeah, if Van Jefferson just plays well and catches his balls, Puka probably doesn't play as well. Like
he got 15 targets. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is kind of ridiculous. He was playing the slot, and that McVay offense.
That's Cooper Kupp spot
guy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That McVay offense loves the slot guy.
He had 15 targets, only caught 10 of them. I watched every second of the game, Donnie, because I had a Matthew Stafford stack with Puka and a showdown slate on FanDuel. I won like $40 just off that lineup alone. I'm telling you, he used Puka like he was Cooper Kupp. Stafford did.
Okay, but when Cooper comes back, that's not going to be the case.
Does he come back?
Yes.
They're talking week 7.
So yes.
But I think Puka and Kupp could play together.
I think they will. I think he's going to be number 2, but like, come on.
And then who's going to be number 3 at that point?
Van Jefferson.
It remains to be seen. Like, I don't know if they will play together because I don't know how much Puka can play outside. And Kupp is going to play in the slot like 70% of the time.
But Kupp proved it last year. Kupp can play outside.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying Kupp can't, but he still will play a lot in the slot.
Oh, yeah.
And like if Puka can't play outside, where the best team to have would be like Van Jefferson, 2-2 Kupp slot, that will be what they run.
No, but that's why I like this team so much, is because we don't really need Puka to do much more for him to hit value. Because think about all the guys on our bench. You could even look at it from a DraftKings perspective. That disappointed that you don't expect to disappoint, season long. We expect more from Cooper than we got in week 1. You expect more from Tyler Lockett than we got in week 1. Dalton Schultz, who we haven't mentioned yet.
No, yeah, we have guys who can give us spike
like Dalton
weeks,
Schultz, yeah.
We have guys who can give us spike weeks. I'm not saying this is out at all. But I think we actually will Rashee Rice get that much better, or did he he might have got his lucky touchdown? Like he wasn't getting a lot of run. He just he was like the guy who luck boxed into the touchdown.
And see, that's why I tell Evan that it doesn't matter if we're talking daily fantasy, waiver wire, these conversations, you can plug them into whatever version of fantasy you play. Hell, it could be Rainmakers, it could be Dynasty. What we're doing is really just saying, here's the guys we believe in. Do you think they're going to hit projections or miss projections? Of these guys, if you guys had a fantasy team, there are people discussing right now, do you drop Dalton Schultz, for Luke Musgrave in fantasy leagues? I think if you drafted Dalton Schultz, you don't drop him because of week 1.
All
Yes.
right.
I don't think
Guys?
you go and rush and pick him up either, but
Guys, I think we are personally, unless we have a specific game we want to review, I don't want to run too long on a review show.
we're
True.
good. We can jump to Rainmakers.
Let's get our Rainmaker stuff done.
Let's do our Rainmakers because we got to do that on the show. We got to build that on the show.
I don't want to get consistent review lineups.
Yeah, and like we don't need to check our
perhaps.
best ball every week. Honestly, like we can like
No.
that's something that's just going to accrue points.
No, I just want.
I like to see that like our early team did better. Like, and it's good to point out like
Our NBA teams were terrible, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But I wanted to do it for more process-based thing because even our NBA team, if you went back, that team got ruined because of injury. This team is benefiting so much because of injury, whether it be Cooper Kupp.
That is true.
J.K. Dobbins. So I just wanted to show the parallel of like the highs and lows of best ball.
Gosh, Kawhi, Dame. Who was the other one?
Yeah, we lost. And then we
lost our top 3 picks. I remember that.
We even took DeMarcus Cousins because we thought he was going to get signed because of another injury that didn't end up happening. So like, but that speaks to how you have to take chances in best ball sometimes. You know, we took Tim Patrick in our football. That looked good. We were playing the injury regression there. We didn't expect him to get another injury before the season even started. It happened. We have to live with it now. Speaking of living with results, we bought TJ Hawkinson at $4. Evan, what do you think of TJ Hawkinson just from like a projection standpoint and an investment standpoint? Like
investment and projection as it pertains to what?
So we now tell me if I'm wrong, Gov, because we're running it through your site here, but we bought him I think for $6 or no, we bought him for $4.99. We can sell him for $6.
we bought him for $3.90.
Okay.
All right, you guys made the decision before, and I had to jump on it before someone like lowered the offer.
Mm-hmm.
So we sold him for $5.70.
Yep.
So like we made a $1.80 profit on our TJ Hawkinson,
Which is great.
considering like he didn't have that great of a week. It wasn't a bad week.
Right.
And Addison's role will expand.
Correct. Like if anything, we saw that Hawkinson is clearly third in the target share after week 1. Now maybe him and Addison even out at the end of the year, but like he was not running as many routes. He was not getting as many targets as the wide receivers were.
I want to boost you up a bit here, Gov, because I think Donnie's about to pour cold water on you, but I want to make that water hot because I actually agree. I think Addison's going to quickly overtake number 2 in terms of targets for the
not that Hawkinson's like again. I still believe Hawkinson will have his spike weeks.
I do too, but I think
thinking about it from the Rainmakers' perspective, he has a lot of primetime games for Minnesota.
Yep.
So he's not going to be as useful week to week unless you also have a bunch of Minnesota guys around him, which we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't plan could we go out and like eventually if we had the money to just buy a Cousins and a Jefferson so that whenever Minnesota's on a showdown, we have a shot, but we didn't invest in that. So I think, and the fact that tight end is not a very premium position, so I don't need to like hold on to them. Might as well catch my profit on them when I can. I had no problem getting rid of him so that we can set up for this next week. Because we do have to buy a card to be able to play this week. We actually may need to buy 2 because I made a mistake and didn't realize it wasn't a showdown for Monday because there's 2 Monday games. So we actually do need a 5-card pack whether we play on Sunday or Monday. It's just, do we need to sell Hawkinson and fill out 2 guys and borrow a quarterback? And by borrow, it's like, you'll use one of my quarterbacks, and I will use one of your 5 cards to replace it in my set.
Right. So
sort of deal. Or do we do it on the Monday slate where, again, I can lend you one of my cards for one of your cards for the week? Right. I have no problem doing a 1-for-1 sub. of doing that. So, like, as I see, I'll transition us through here. So we have the Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a good play. I thought getting off of it is good. Now we go in. Here is the Monday slate.
Just while you do that, I'm going to refresh people, and Evan, if he's unfamiliar, we're doing this purposely with a budget because a lot of people covering this content are going to do it with a large quantity of money. They're going to show you the flashy cards. They're really good players, and they're going to make this game feel appealing. So we wanted to put a cap on it. We want to show you that you can do it restrictively with a budget and you could still make a profit. This is almost a game within a game for me to see if it's possible to build a budget team and still be profitable at the end of the year. So what we decided was we were going to do it for $30 investment. We thought that was a pretty fair working man's budget. And then we can trade or transition with any of our friends in the DFS industry. Because, like, to me, sports gambling, DFS, it's all community. It's all community based. So, like, however we get the cards other than money is negotiable. Like, so we're going to do a trade just like you would in a real football, setting. But
not really. Like, don't think like this is an official thing. This is just like, because we're running it through my account, I have all of my Rainmakers cards, but I can't just like separate them into two different portfolios. So like it's more like your cards are in my set of stuff, but I can bring up the Excel spreadsheet. We're keeping everything separate. We're making sure we're tracking it. So like I can show you if I brought up the spreadsheet, we have now after that sale, we have $6.61.
Can I suggest a player for this?
Yeah,
Monday
go ahead.
Well, let's look at like first off. We are going to play our
I know this. Yeah, I know this player is going to be cheap. That's what I am saying. This.
Yeah. Well, first off, let's get to it. So we're going to play our Kenny Pickett, and we're playing our George Pickens.
Yes.
Let's speak on Pickens really quickly. With Johnson out, Pickens becomes a better player, right, Evan?
Yes.
In theory, that should be the way it goes because I don't think Allen Robinson is in his prime enough to take the same targets that Deontay can get.
Now, having an unbiased opinion, if we were going to double stack the Steelers offense, if we were going to play for a high upside here with this lineup, who would you try to go after as a dynasty mindset? Would you go after a Robinson? Would you try to go with a Frying-Booth? Where would you go here?
Being that Allen Robinson is 30 with 9 seasons under his belt from a dynasty perspective, I don't target a guy like an Allen Robinson, although...
Washington?
Say that again?
What about the backup tight end Washington with the Fryermuth injury?
I don't think he's just going to get enough. I think Washington is going to be an example of a tight end that's going to need a couple of seasons to get acquainted with the NFL level, which is typical for tight ends.
I love his archetype. I just don't know if he's ready.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's ready either. It's going to be Fryermuth to catch the passes for now as tight end, and I think it's just going to be the Pickens, Fryermuth, and then I think Allen Robinson will still get fed, but he's not going to be the top priority.
I like Austin, but I don't know if Austin has a card.
Calvin Austin?
Yeah, I don't know if he has a card.
He does. I saw.
If he was cheap, I might consider a pickup and stash.
$3.75.
Too much.
Wow.
That's expensive. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that you could buy a Judy for that. Like, fuck that.
He is the plug-in, though. That's the guy that they think is going to be the plug-in.
See, I was thinking either Elijah Moore or Donovan Peoples-Jones.
See, and here's the list of guys that are available for that slate and their current fantasy points on the year. And then, of course, the floor price.
So, Gov, why don't you speak to the people why you think we should go after the showdown slate for Rainmakers this early?
I just think like it's with our budget, it'll be easier to fill out and what we decided. With our budget and the decisions we made week 1 to buy Pittsburgh.
Yep.
It will be easier for us to get the cards to get into this slate.
I agree.
Because we would have to buy a quarterback, and we'd probably have to buy a whole other stack for Sunday.
Guess
just to put with our Henry and Sutton. Yeah. And like I don't want to go and buy another cheap quarterback stack. I'd rather get a decent player here to fill out the lineup. So
I mean, honestly,
now
I'm not against getting a kicker for this game, honestly.
well, like I said, we're filling out a normal 5-person lineup. So I don't. If we need a cheap kicker, we can do that.
Guy, I'm not against.
But here's the first thought. As Logan was saying, it's not like an actual industry thing. It's more like you, the cards I have, I would allow you to use as long as I could use yours. So for the week, if you want to use my Nick Chubb, being the only superstar among these 4 teams and the only restricted player, I have no problem with that. I'm probably going to use your Derrick Henry on Sunday.
That makes perfect sense because they're like the same.
Yeah, they're both superstar running backs. You wouldn't be able to play them in the same lineup anyway. And I'm basically giving you my superstar running back for Monday, and you let me mine. Yeah, that seems fair to me. So that helps fill out your lineup. Now you have a good stack bring back.
Now the reason I'm going to allow it is because we're already putting a restriction on ourselves that most people don't do. And remember, we said we weren't going to spend any more than 30 for the first 3 weeks. So that, but so we have to take advantage of every other perk that we have. We have to make good investments and social investments. Think of this like building an expansion team. That's exactly what I wanted. So yeah, we called up our other general manager friends. We called up Gov and said, "Hey, can we make a trade?" But it's not like Gov's giving us charity. We're giving
because Gov is also going to ask in return.
Yeah.
That I get to use your Sutton this weekend.
I'm okay with that.
And in return, I have a Michael Thomas that you can use on Monday.
I would. Hey, you know I love Michael Thomas. He will be.
I was about to say, and if you think about the 2 games, you have Cleveland, Pittsburgh, you have Carolina hosting New Orleans.
Now, Evan's gonna say, "Man, I thought you were a Michigan fan." I don't know what it is with these Ohio State guys, man.
I think Michael Thomas could do well because he probably won't have J.C. Horn on him. He'll be on Olave.
Guys, I want someone.
And so that leaves us.
I want someone I know
almost any guy, and we have $6 to work with. So if we wanted to buy the $3 Calvin Austin, we could. But.
No. I want somebody who's going to be cheap. I think.
Who were you thinking about? These are all the guys on the slate that have a card.
Chuba.
Chuba Hubbard.
Looking for Chuba. I know he's here. I know he has a card. Hold on. I might have got to search him. Oh, no. There he is. Boom. Buck Fitty.
I'm sorry, but I don't think his value goes down that much. I think he's going to only go up probably.
What?
Yeah, but here would be my counter. Here would be my counter. For just a little more, we can get a guy we already talked about getting just insane volume.
Yes, sir.
And just go with Jamal Williams, who we know is going to be good for at least the next 2 weeks until Kamara.
At least the next 2.
I would
$3 to grab him. And still have $350 we could play. We'd still have just about $350. Like the Loch Ness Monster wants us to make this pick. I know.
So
I feel like Chuba's role in the future though is only going to expand as to where Williams is going to decrease.
Gov, do you think Jamal's facing the Carolina Panthers? That's your team. Do you see them stopping Jamal?
I don't see it being very well. For them. No.
So
the only other thought on my end would be get the bring back, and the best weapon for Bryce this time was Hurst, so I could see grabbing Hurst for $2 as the fill-in guy.
That's what I would.
If Hurst has another good week, his price goes up probably, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he does. He'll go from 2 to like one of those $6 tight ends.
Now,
like where Hawkinson was. That's probably where he'll go.
It's
another week like that.
I'm with this theory because you said it before the show to be transparent with the people that you don't want to play tight ends full stop, and I agree with that theory.
Yeah, which is why I would rather have the running back. I'd rather go with like I don't hate the Chuba play, but I think again, if we're playing this as a Rainmaker's night, we're trying to win this week so we can increase and make our lineup better, and we know that we can see now like. Even something random like what if Tony has a good week while we're playing this lineup? We could then sell Tony for like a $5 profit and make our team better next week.
Well, here's my thing. And you can shut me down immediately if you think I'm wrong. But I think if we want to, it might not make us profit and it might be more risky. But don't you think it's more likely that the Saints defense just goes crazy? We can win, like, at least min cash by playing the Saints defense this week?
No, I don't. Because I honestly believe that Bryce Young's not going to make those mistakes all year.
I agree.
So I don't know if if the Saints defense goes on the road and destroys Bryce Young.
Cameron Jordan is going to feast, I feel like.
I don't know about that. Like, you want to I'll make the same argument to that. Panthers don't have a bad offensive line. Like, we've got some pretty good tackles and guards. Like, it's not horrible. That's why we went and got Miles Sanders. And him and Chuba both had okay running games. But Bryce Young threw 2 horrible picks, and we lost in Atlanta.
I want to do some rapid fire just so we don't overthink the situation. So let's just quickly go through this. We'll start even with Evan. Who do you think has the best projection this week?
I got 5 minutes, by the way.
No, we're good. We'll get done in 5 minutes. Who do you think has the best projection of these guys we mentioned for this game? We got to turn profit. We got to make profit so we can flip these guys so we can make money for next week's Sunday slate. Who do you
out of these 2 matchups here, my mind is going to the safer option, which would be a Chris Olave, because I don't think. We can't afford that. Not only we can, but I mean, I'm just looking at Carolina and I'm like, ooh, who are their cornerbacks? There's no way they're stopping Olave. But we got to go more the cheaper route, right?
Horn is actually pretty good.
Horn might be out though, I heard.
I haven't heard anything about that.
I think
if he were out, then that's where again I would love the run game.
But we can't.
That's why I have no problem giving you the Michael Thomas at that point.
J.C. Horn is expected to miss multiple weeks.
Oof. I'm hoping it wasn't that bad. Damn.
Yeah. So that's why I'm thinking Olave, but like we said, it's too expensive for what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
So what's the budget limit we're trying to aim for wide receiver?
We basically trying to decide between Jamal Williams.
Like we have $650. We're looking at like a couple of $2 or $3 guys.
We don't want to spend our whole bankroll.
Yeah, we could spend $550 on Miles Sanders.
Let's see who's got control of this right now. Is it YouGov?
Yeah,
I do. Yes.
Can you are you able to sort by price? Yeah, that way it'd be a little easier for me to just see what can we get for the.
I think it's Hayden Hurst
because from Cooper down is what we could grab.
I think Hayden Hurst gives you the immediacy. He gives you the PPR upside. Rookies tend to go to tight ends, and then we flip him. We do the TJ Hawkinson. We hope he has one good week. We flip him next week.
And I think we can do the same thing with Jamal, where if he has a big game against Carolina, we can flip him on his last good week when people will still want him.
I disagree.
And then when they come back, because people aren't going to just like not buy him or not have a price for him. If he has a good week, his floor will go up.
Can you do me a favor before we even buy anything? Because I think this might be a smart move if he's cheap enough.
Okay,
I'm sure his price already skyrocketed. Can we just check to see what Zach Wilson's price is? What if we want him to begin a second lineup type thing? I don't think he'd be close to cheap enough, but if he hasn't skyrocketed in price yet,
it's a good check-in.
Give me 1 sec.
I actually like Zach Wilson long term. I think he's still a good quarterback. Also, since we're on the topic, Joe Flacco apparently wants to audition for the Jets starting job.
Zach Wilson is now like a $10 quarterback. He's going over Bryce Young, over Kenny Pickett, over all the rookies, over Russell Wilson.
I just didn't know if he was there yet. Because if it's
more expensive than Sam Howell and Jimmy G. Yeah.
See, now, next time a quarterback goes down like that, I think we should immediately, all decide hop on call and see if we can find one.
I didn't want to ruin it.
When I can, on a showdown slate, I would try to do that. But like I can't do. That's the problem with Sunday. If anything happens
Yeah.
during a Sunday game, I can't really do anything about it.
I'm not
'cause
gonna
at
lie
home.
to you. I already checked it, Donnie. I didn't want to ruin it because I didn't know for sure. But I'm pretty sure I checked it like the night that Aaron Rodgers got hurt, and he was already up to $8.
Oh yeah, no, like it was pretty
I
much.
know
easy.
what response
You would have
that.
had to have been like the second you saw him sit back down, you
Right.
would have had to go buy some Zach Wilsons.
So Donnie told me to get us out of here in 2 minutes. For me, it's either Jamal Williams or Hurst.
I can't give Jamal Williams. I'd have to go Hurst.
Any love for Michael Thomas?
We're
We
taking
already have a Michael Thomas.
We're taking Michael Thomas.
This is the
We
lineup
got,
we have.
yes, that's right.
This is the
Sorry.
lineup we have currently. We just need to fill it in with one other guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know about Hayden Hurst though.
$2.
that's the
is
thing, I-
cheap. He's not going to drop much.
But how
Like,
much-
if he has a bad game, he's going to be like $1. And we like,
See,
And
he'll
then
go
we
back
just
up.
have a tight end that will be
This-
sitting on all year,
this-
which it's a Panthers tight end. It's not like I would hate having a Panthers tight end,
Look,
but like I really do feel we would get more utility, have a higher ceiling because of the touches, the guaranteed touches that Jamal's going to have against
can't
what
go
could be
Jamal.
a bad Carolina defense. Unfortunately,
I
But-
can't go Jamal.
hold on, you can't, but I could, and Evan could sway us here. Evan, do you have any intention on Jamal Williams?
He's
Jamal-
going to drop in value.
but
I
not next week.
Donnie,
Like,
He has the ability to increase in value before he drops.
hold on, Donnie. I'm not saying you're wrong. What if he wins us $20 this week?
Like
Are
we're
you-
shooting for a high
Hold
volume
on.
guy that's cheap, but like he got 7 points with his volume and he didn't
Yeah.
get any touchdowns. If he
think-
goes off for 15, 20 with the rest of this lineup, we could win the money. He'll go up to like $8.
Go.
We'll sell him for a $6 profit plus our $20 win, and then we could even at $25 we could build another lineup.
At that point, I'm getting contrarian, and I'd rather play the Saints defense for
No.
way cheaper.
But again, this is Rainmakers. Our
Yeah.
serial number that we can't tie. It's the serial numbers that'll break the thing. So we're not like always trying to get super contrarian. We want to build high ceiling lineups, whether
Right.
they're contrarian or not. And I just
Especially-
think there's more ceiling in Jamal than Hurst.
no.
I think they're exactly the same.
I
Worst
gotta
case-
get out.
Worst case scenario, I think they're exactly the same. We could end up not losing them, not selling them, and then we have a $2 card
Okay.
that's just sitting.
I think
But I
we
think
make this
the-
decision later in the week. At this point,
We
to
can't.
be honest,
we can make that decision. But like I think that like we have everything set up where we just got to get that last guy in. But
we can't fix this conversation this early.
like
we
you could
also-
take Rashid Shaheed if you wanted. We have the money. For that.
No, I don't.
we also need to see if Kendry Miller's coming back. We don't even know that.
Yes, if Miller comes back now,
What's Miller?
See, that would be the thing that would sway me into getting like a Chuba or a Hurst or something.
so I'm just waiting. I want to wait till we get
Okay.
more news.
Good plan.
Okay.
But I like that we have that talk. We've had that in play, and we know the core of our lineup with Pickens and Chubb and Thomas.
I'll get us out of here on this, but go what? Give the people, because we just went on about what we were going to do and then decided we were going to hold.
I will plug in our the Deontay.
Yeah,
or
just
let's see
plug that in so you can.
I'm just gonna plug in a shit guy. Just Deontay, he won't play.
so you
But then
can
we'll
lock your line.
switch that out once we buy our guy. Yes.
So, but just
We
to
are
give-
locked into this tournament, the 10K guaranteed cash.
We did have a lot of arguments at the beginning and the end, so let's just give people the quick update before we get out of here. 5 seconds. What's our profit at so far in Rainmakers? Because we have made profit so far. We put in 30. We made how much on TJ?
Right there on TJ specifically, we made $1.80.
Okay. Now that we covered the overall profit, but we have made profit on our one player.
Yep.
So
After 1 week, we are up $2, and there
Right.
is no like entry fee. So there's no way, unless we spend more money, which we're planning on not doing, just until we win it or hit it, we are just going to keep going.
which adds another layer to our decisions, which is why this is so difficult. Speaking of which, difficulty, I'm going to get us out of here with this. I don't want to, but these shows have been doing well longer, so I don't mind them going on longer, but I do think we've overtalked it. And I think it was a good conversation, but we'll save the rest of that for later on. Good night, guys. Thanks for joining me.
Not everyone.
All right.
Peace out.